Welcome to Entry Point Faith. Join us each week to discover fresh meaning in the world and find faith your way. Now, here is Pastor Nancy Lafferty.
David answered his phone and heard a voice that he hadn't heard for a long time. It was his friend John calling to apologize for an argument that they had had some 15 years ago. They had never resolved their differences, but John was calling to apologize. So after they talked for a while and shared a little bit of forgiveness with each other, David said to John, "Why now? Why after 15 years are you calling me to apologize?" John was silent for a moment, and then he said, "Well, I just had a heart attack last month, and my whole world looks different to me now." Apologies civilize us. In our day-to-day experience, they make things better. We all make mistakes, and in so doing, we disappoint or betray other people. But saying that we are sorry and doing it well has the near miraculous, super heroic power to heal. When we apologize, we honor other people's experiences, thoughts, and feelings. Apologies move us toward justice. In their book entitled Sorry, 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 The Case for Good Apologies, authors Marjorie Engel and Susan McCarthy write these beautiful words. A good apology corrects an imbalance, respects a person's value, and takes away an insult. A bad apology makes things worse. So let's imagine that you come to my house and my dog snaps at you, scaring you. And I say, "Oh, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't have looked at him that way." Most dog people know not to do that. My apology just made things worse for you. I implied that the dog snapping at you was actually your fault. So maybe you should really apologize to me or to the dog, and that you're ignorant and you're not a dog person, or you're maybe just a really lousy dog person. That was a bad apology. We are also deeply aware of times when we should apologize, but we just don't. Perhaps we're stubborn or prideful, or we feel like the other person doesn't really deserve it. One night, a husband and wife had a really big argument about how the dinner was supposed to be cooked. And the argument was so heated that they stormed away from each other and they slept in separate bedrooms and didn't even talk about it. And neither one of them approached the other one to say, "I'm sorry," or to try to talk about the argument. They just remained in separate bedrooms for years after that. Each night, they would go to bed thinking that maybe the other one's going to apologize tonight, and it didn't happen. Now, I don't know how many years they were able to remain angry with each other, but even in the Bible, we find evidence that we usually know when we should apologize because of the way it makes us feel. In Psalm 51, we find this verse. "For I admit my shameful deed, it haunts me day and night." We have all had that beautiful experience of a forced apology. Tell your brother you're sorry. Sorry. Say it like you mean it. "I'm sorry." I am not sure that we have really mastered the art of apology in our culture. So let's take just a few minutes and investigate how we could improve our skills. A good apology has actually 6 steps to it, in any order. The first step, or one step, is to say you're sorry. Say the words, "I apologize," or "I'm sorry." Say those words. Don't say that you regret that something happened. Regret takes no ownership. According to psychologist Harriet Lerner, "I'm sorry" are 2 of the most powerful words in the English language. So say I'm sorry directly to the person or the people that have been harmed. The second step is to say what you did. Say you're sorry and name what you did. Don't say that something was done. Use the active voice instead of the passive voice. I'm sorry I dropped a toaster on your foot. That is spoken in active voice. If you say, I'm sorry a toaster was dropped on your foot, you are somehow now not responsible for the deed. This is the time to own what you did, not to avoid it. Now, if you need to test out whether or not your sentence is in passive or active voice, here's a test you can use. Insert the words by zombies somewhere after the verb, and if the sentence still works, you have passive voice. I'm sorry a toaster was dropped on your foot by zombies. See, it's passive voice. The third step is to show that you understand why what you did was bad. I'm sorry I turned my phone off to take a nap and I slept so long I missed our dinner date. That probably hurt your feelings and left you wondering many things. This is the time we consider all of the ways that the thing we did may have caused offense. Remember, the apology is not about us, the person that did it. It's not about our feelings. It is about the impact of what we did on the other person. So say what you did, not how you feel about it. An apology is not about your broken heart. It's about what you did to make the other person feel sad or heartbroken or angry. Say that you realize this was a bad thing to do. The fourth step of a good apology is to explain why you did what you did only if necessary. I'm sorry I took your son's tricycle from the sidewalk in front of your house and put it in our garage. My son has the exact same tricycle, and I thought he had left it out on the sidewalk. I really wasn't trying to steal your kid's tricycle. Sometimes the explanations are helpful because it allows the other person to make sense of the event. And when we can make sense of something, we get past our hurt feelings a little bit quicker. But be careful to not let the explanation become an excuse. I'm sorry I opened the door to your rabbit's cage and it got out. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it is always an excuse. Don't say I didn't mean it. The fifth step is to say why whatever you did won't happen again. I will be sure to look more closely at the tricycles next time so I don't get them mixed up. Now that I know you don't like that nickname, I will never use it again. I'll leave my phone on, and I'll set an alarm the next time that I take a nap before we have plans. The last step is to offer to make up for what you did. Make reparations. How can I help you heal? What can I do to make up for this? Now, if I hit a baseball toward your house and it breaks the window, I can quickly and easily make reparations. The brand new window pane is evidence of healing. But when there is nothing tangible to repair, as in the case of a broken heart or a broken relationship, our efforts must be focused on restoring the offended person's dignity. The question, what else do you want me to do, can start that process. So those are the 6 parts in any order to making a good apology. We may or may not have ever heard those steps before, and so now we kind of have a new model for how to make a good apology. Notice that asking for forgiveness is not on the list. And isn't that what we normally talk about, especially in church, when people have been wronged? Well, yes, we do. But forgiveness is something that the person who was offended does when they want to and when they are able to. Let's imagine for just a moment how really kind of selfish it is to ask someone that you just offended to forgive you. I just hurt you. I just dropped a toaster on your foot. You are literally in physical pain, and I'm giving you a good apology. I'm sorry I dropped a toaster on your foot. Will you please forgive me? Please forgive me so that I'll feel better about what I did. You're writhing in pain, and I want you to take care of me. Help me feel less guilty. Make no mistake, forgiveness is good. It's beautiful. It's great. It's healing later on, at the right time, not when I'm making an apology to you. Martha Beck has written, "The final gallant act of apology is to release your former victim from any expectation of forgiveness. No matter how noble you have been, he will forgive or refuse to forgive on his own terms. That is his right." Improving the art of making an apology not only does wonders for our relationships, but it also reminds us of our core values. We end up feeling more authentic and humble when we are able to non-defensively and without resentment, entitlement, or anger say those beautiful, powerful words, "I'm sorry." Amen.
Thanks for listening in on this week's discussion on Entry Point Faith. You can join the Entry Point Faith community in person every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. at Conner Prairie in Fishers, Indiana. For more information and a transcript of Nancy's messages, visit entrypointonline.org. Entry Point Faith is brought to you in partnership with mypodcast.media.